What is the worst thing that your significant other has told you? Not the worst thing, but something that sticks with me a lot. I do a lot of creative projects, mainly 2D/3D art, and I like to show my friends and people close to me my projects as I finish them because it makes me happy to share the things I've made. A few years into our relationship, my ex said that it reminded them of a kid showing their mom something they did and was kind of sad. Still affects my desire to show off my works to this day, although it's getting easier as time goes on as my current friends are supportive and are actually interested in my hobbies. The worst thing my ex so told me was, I can't do this anymore. You're way too jealous/controlling/insecure. You remind me of my ex. This was the day she broke up with me because of me wanting to resolve an issue with her and her texting behavior with an online male friend. They texted 200 times a day even when she was next to me. So I asked her if she wanted to text him a bit less because A, it made me feel uncomfortable, and B, he didn't know about us being a couple. Guess what? She didn't want to do that. Gaslit me into being jealous/controlling and insecure. And she left me and went to him 2 days later. She broke up with me at my lowest because she started a fight over nothing and I held her accountable. She called me a liar when something devastating happened in my family. She told me bettering myself and improving myself was bad for the relationship. I had a panic attack on the phone with her and she made fun of me. Told her I was sad and depressed and she made fun of me too. I thank God every day I'm not with her anymore. For date night several years ago, I spent $60 on the finest ingredients to cook a giant pot roast after I finally perfected the recipe. My wife and I ate like royalty that night. While I was showering the next morning, still living off the high from the night before, my wife quietly came into the bathroom and without making eye contact, said in a trembling voice, I'm so sorry. You left the pot roast out on the counter overnight. Edit. Recipes in the comments. My ex told me she did find me attractive after 4 months of dating, that she had never found me attractive and didn't think she ever would. When we broke up, she also mentioned that I should seek therapy as I was close to being a rapist and she was considering calling the police. This was because I wanted to hug her occasionally and sit on the sofa next to her rather than on a different chair altogether. In retrospect, it was not a particularly fun or mentally healthy relationship, if one can call it that. She told me she was unhappy with the relationship, wanted a break, go away to upstate NY and seize another man. Yes, something did happen and she wanted to hide it from me but eventually told me, in detail. I took her back because I still loved her. Moves away to another area of upstate NY. Another man kissed her and she thought nothing of it. Probably had sex with the man she's now married to and has a child with multiple times before breaking up with me. They actually got together in August of 22. When we broke up in July of 22. She wanted to get back together after breaking up with me but my heart couldn't take it anymore. She wanted to win me back but decided to give up 2 days after trying. She started acting differently towards me and then decided to cut me off. My heart still aches. That was my first love and the first person to show me what love is. Things I've heard during arguments. Oh yeah? I'm going to fuck my ex tonight then. I'm going to bang 3 guys at the same time when I'm on holidays with my friends. I'll be fucking Nick 5 times a day when you're abroad for work. I'm going to fuck your friend Paul. If we break up, I'll be posting provocative pictures on Instagram. If we break up, I'll go on holidays with Mary, who's single in her 30s. You know what that means. If we break up, I can find someone to fuck within seconds. And you know it. I could be fucking John instead of arguing with you now. If we break up, is Gus the guy that will hurt you the most if I fuck him? I could have easily fucked Bill if I wanted to, but I spared you. Everyone wants to fuck me. I'm not going to marry you. I'll marry Jack. While we're having sex. Beat that. If you can. I used to write an online novel for a while on Royal Road years ago. That has a moderate following. A year ago, I was thinking about taking the leap and gradually writing a real published book. She basically said something along the lines of, "It's not worth the time, babe. Probably only around 40 people would read it." Frankly, she's probably right, as most writers don't get very far. But after spending so much time planning out my story, her comment utterly crushed my motivation. Now, I'm much busier and don't have the time or energy to try writing it. It hurt even more because I could tell she was being honest and didn't mean it as an insult. We're still together, but this is definitely one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. Maybe I'll try writing something when I'm older. Edit. I appreciate the responses. Unfortunately, I simply do not have time or energy anymore. My work has become a lot more busy, and I started grad school recently and I am barely keeping things together. At the time I was considering starting on a book, my schedule was a lot lighter. Perhaps after I finish grad school I will give it a go again. Thank you all. Back when I was, 19? He was 27. We were already a couple for 3 years. Drove me once to work in his cousin's, quite old and cheap, not in a good condition, car he then used for some seasonal work. Never mind. As I am about to get out of the car, I kissed him and said something like goodbye, see you later. Went out and closed the door. Slammed with the doors a bit harder. You could say, accidentally, with absolutely no damage on the car. But it made a sound like louder thump. Sorry about my English BTW. I get to my workplace 2 minutes later and I receive a message from him on WhatsApp. If you ever slam the doors like that again, I'm going to slap you so hard you'll never even think of doing something like that again. Stayed for 1 more year together. Never suffered any physical abuse. But I never forgot that message. I was terrified and confused. I replied something like watch your mouth and I am not here for you to speak to me like that. Still I stayed in the end. In the beginning of the relationship he told me something like it's only a matter of time when I'll cheat on you. Luckily that's behind me, and I've learned my lesson about horrible partners. I am now a satisfied person with a wonderful partner. One night while laying in bed, he told me he was going to propose one day and he asked me how I'd like him to, if I wanted it to be public or private, etc. The conversation made me feel in ways I've never felt before, so much so I thought my heart would flutter out of my chest. It felt like an absolute fairy tale / dream come true. My little girl fantasies were becoming reality. That little girl who didn't have much to hold on to embraced this. I was finally feeling safe and open to let a man fully have my heart. Fast forward a year later, I asked him about that conversation, and he totally forgot it ever happened. You can imagine how devastated the little girl on the inside felt. Probably his excuse to forget because he knew he wasn't going to propose anyway. Was going through a rough spot. I want you to know that you can always talk to me about anything. I'm your safe space. 3 days later I finally open up to her about things that had been weighing on me and causing me to be depressed. Oh for God's sake, get a grip and man the fuck up. That was about a year before I made an attempt to unalive a few years ago. I'm better now but I've not opened up to her since. And I never will again. I was stalked and sexually assaulted twice, at 15 and 22 by different men who were significantly older than me. I'm open about it but he never wanted to talk about it. He did know but never cared about the who, what, why. We were having a stupid discussion about age limits in youth hostels. I said I felt safer with the limits because of my experiences. He said I didn't know about that. I want a divorce. I took off my ring, said I was going for a walk. There were a lot of other issues but that was my final straw. And again I did tell him. I came home from prison and the girl I was with before I went and came over and spent the night. When she got there she wouldn't kiss me but we fooled around and she gave me head. She said she had to go get clothes and left. While she was at home she FaceTimed me and told me she had a new man and didn't know what to do. And she still came back and spent the night and we fooled around some more. Now she's pregnant with his baby and he has no idea she saw me when I came home I don't think. My first ex cheated on me with one of my friends, after 6 or 7 months of dating. Back when I was working at a grocery store. The dude was a bodybuilder and on steroids and I'm pretty tall and lanky, although I was religiously going to the gym. She told me that she was chasing big game. There was a plethora of other things that were said to me, but that one example has stuck with me for nearly 7 years. My second ex, most recent, wasn't all that religious when we got together. She believed she was a Christian and I am a Christian. It wasn't until 5 months into the relationship when she became a Bible thumper, almost overnight. After that point, she began to shun/judge me for everything I had done and said in the relationship up to that point and onwards. Sex was the primary thing. She would call me a piece of shit for wanting to have sex with her, or wanting it/being turned on at all, or playing with myself. But she would also try to instigate sex and get me going just to berate me about it later. The one thing that stands out the most is she told me I think the devil put you in my life to tempt me. I need you gone. You're not even what I want for a husband anyways. Shortly after I told her I wanted to marry her. I have never honestly had a good dating experience and I've casually dated 3 to 4 women after my first 2 serious relationships. They always end up going south rather quickly as I don't really get rose-colored glasses anymore and I spot red flags early. Needless to say, at 27 years old, I'm no longer in the dating world. TLDR. My first ex wanted to chase big game. My second ex thought I was the devil for wanting to have sex with her. The third time she brought up the fact that one of her exes from Tinder had hit her up, saying how creepy it was and it was bothering her. It was actually heartbreaking on multiple levels, because 1. She offered to show me the messages each time, and I only said yes the third time because at that point it was weird. 2. Immediately after I said okay send them to me, she went I forgot to tell you when he hit me up I thought he might just want to be friends. 3. She had obviously ghosted this dude, and he had no idea that we had been back together for almost a year. 4. When I saw the messages, it was clear that he wasn't a one-night stand like she told me. They met when we were on a break. That was my idea because I had finals and work was incredibly busy that time of year. 5. She had multiple opportunities to just not continue the conversation or at least give one-word responses, but she decided to keep asking him questions and moving the conversation forward. 7. She said she didn't want to get drunk and chill at his place that weekend while I was at work. She thought her place would be more suitable. Despite him saying multiple times that if only they would hang out then they'd both reminisce about the good times they previously had fucking. 7. That she was so comfortable lying to me that she sent this to me and thought I would somehow be okay with it. 8. Her trying to gaslight me that, if anything was going to happen, her dad wouldn't allow it because he got divorced due to infidelity. Her dad does not like me, not like she, my fucking girlfriend, had any responsibility to not to invite fuckboys over and bang them. I broke up with her the next day when I could see her in person.